So I was actually watching one of our old videos, and the intro was pretty funny.
Okay.
And the intro was you saying, and I quote,
No.
this is what he said. He said, I got bronze
Oh, I remember that intro.
in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was really funny, right? Because you saw my face of like how I reacted to what he said.
Right.
And then I had this like yellow jacket I have with this like long neck thing. And then I just went like this. And I went under it, put half my face under the little collar. And I just went like... And I thought that was a really funny intro that you guys should definitely watch. Episode... I forgot which one it was. But just look for the episode where I have the yellow jacket on. And you'll see the intro. It's a really funny intro. It was really funny. Because you see how I react. I was the one that made it funny. He was... it's a little hard with him.
Yo, what is good with you with this intro?
My bad.
What's good with you with this intro?
My bad. I'm sorry.
You remind me a lot of Cain, actually, as a matter of fact.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
You remind me a lot of Cain.
I know you like doing a little transition. I know you like doing that, but that did not make sense.
Yeah, you're like Cain. Just
okay.
Very prideful and
prideful.
Disrespectful.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. Sorry. I'm done.
Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the In the Fire podcast. I appreciate you whether you're listening on Spotify, iTunes, or watching us on YouTube. Thank you for joining us back on the platform and tuning in to this episode. We love you.
Yes.
We appreciate you.
Yes.
And just welcome back. And if you're new around here, welcome to the family.
In the Fire podcast.
To the In the Fire podcast. Here, our mission here at the In the Fire podcast is to ignite, nurture, and maintain and spread the fire of Christ. And so just join us as we study the Word of God together. Make sure to check out the most important link in the description. It is an opportunity for both of us and you guys, to be in communion, in a family united together. Check out the Patreon link. That is where our family's at. We can communicate, talk, chat, prayer, Bible studies together. It is a beautiful, beautiful time. You don't want to miss out. Check it out and join us. And if you're already on the Patreon, we love you and we appreciate you. And so today...
What?
Today, you know what we're doing.
What we're doing?
We're reading the Word of God again. We have been loving... Why are you laughing?
No, I'm not like that. We're reading the Word of God again. It's pretty good. It's funny. A little funny.
Is that blasphemy?
No, it's not. It's not blasphemy, dude.
You just laughed.
I can't laugh.
Can you guys... Do you guys understand that he just laughed?
No. They don't. I think they want to hear the reading and everything, so I think we should move on from this. Kind of, get into...
Guys, Lewis has been maturing, and so he thinks all of a sudden he can tell us it's time to move on, but I tell you when it's time to move on. But today we are studying Cain and Abel.
Cain and Abel.
This can be found in Revelations 4.
Oh.
No? Oh.
No, it's found in Genesis.
Genesis 4.
You got it, brother. Good job.
Genesis 4, you do not want to... you just want to follow along with us. So check.
You do not want to miss it?
You don't want to miss it. If you have your Bibles, open it up to Genesis chapter 4. We're talking about Cain and Abel.
If you're able to read the Bible at this moment. But if you're doing something that does not allow you to do that, be safe, and we're going to read it for you.
Yes.
But also, if you can, join us.
If you can, join us. So we're reading from NLT version. Cain and Abel. Who's their papas?
Adam and Eve.
Who's Adam and Eve?
The first humans on Earth.
The first humans on Earth.
I mean, the Garden of Eden is on Earth. Right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. So they had Cain and Abel.
Yeah.
And now we're reading about them?
We're reading about them.
This was a long time ago.
It was a very long time ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think there was a New Jersey back then?
They were in New Jersey?
You don't know.
I don't think they were.
I mean, like Garden of Eden. You don't know where that was?
I mean, Cain might have been from New Jersey.
Why Cain?
Because he looks like he's the type to have road rage and stuff.
Oh. Well,
Yeah.
we'll see why that is in a moment.
In a moment. But let's read.
Let's get into
Enough
it.
waiting. Enough waiting.
Yeah.
Now Adam had sexual relations with his wife. Awesome.
You know, another version says. Another version says Adam knew Eve.
Wow. Is that like the kids version of it?
No. It's another version. It says like, and Adam and his wife knew each other, and they had. It's like, okay.
I hope they knew
guess.
each other.
Right?
I hope they knew each other.
Okay.
With his wife Eve, and she became pregnant. When she gave birth to Cain, she said, "With the Lord's help, I have produced a man."
Cool.
Cool. Later, she gave. Sorry, I gotta turn my page. Sorry. Later, she gave birth to his brother and named him Abel.
So how they choose Cain and Abel as the first
Names?
two names?
Yeah. How do you come up with that?
Cain,
Abel.
Why not like
was Adam
Joshua?
really old at this point? He needed a Cain, and he's like, "Let me just do that." And then
Wow, let's continue.
And because we were able to have a kid, let's name him Abel. No, I'm sorry. When they grew up, Abel became a shepherd, while Cain cultivated the ground.
That's fun.
When it was time for the harvest, Cain presented some of his crops as a gift to the Lord. Abel also brought a gift, the best portions of the firstborn lambs from his flock. The Lord accepted Abel and his gift, but he did not accept Cain and his gift. This made Cain very angry, and he looked dejected. So what do we see here? First of all, I think it's important to know... Sorry.
Nice. We can note. Can somebody note that?
No, what? Yeah, that's what's important to know. But I think it's important to know the characters of Cain and the character of Abel, to know what we're working with here, right?
Okay.
Now, in let me see. Hold on, give me a second.
Everybody, give me a second.
Yeah, everybody, give me a second.
Just 1 second.
Okay, if we go to 1 John 3:12,
Okay.
this is what we find. We must not be like Cain, who belonged to the evil one and killed his brother. And why did he kill him? Because, wow, I just fast forwarded everything.
You kind of spoiled the story, my boy. It's all good. Continue. It's all good, brother. Continue. This is still a fruitful.
I was just joking.
Bible
I made
study.
that up. Hebrews 11:4. Let's read this one. It was by faith that Abel brought a more acceptable offering to God than Cain did. Abel's offering gave evidence that he was a righteous man, and God showed his approval of his gifts. Although Abel is long dead, he still speaks to us by his example of faith. And so that gives us an example of who Abel was, right? It says that he was a righteous man.
They counted him as righteous because of this one thing. Interesting.
Interesting, right? But I mean, it also shows us what kind of man Abel was. All right, so it says what does it mean to be a righteous man, right? Somebody that is after following somebody that is just and their morals are aligned to God's laws, right? So somebody, right? The biblical righteousness kind of talks about how you are seen as right before God. So when you go to heaven, God is going to see you as righteousness.
Yep.
Because of Jesus dying on the cross for you.
100%.
He traded that sin so that you can be seen as righteous in the eyes of God, right? So Abel was seen as somebody that was righteous, which means he loved God, he respected and followed God's laws. He was a man of integrity, a man that did the right thing, and a man that was just, right? And so what about Cable? I'm a mess today, man.
What about Cable?
It's a mix between Abel and Cain. I said Cable. Forgive me.
What about HDMI cable?
No, that's disrespectful.
Sorry.
But Cain was seen as somebody that was, before I spoiled it, it said that he belonged to the evil one, right? Cain was somebody that was arrogant, that lacked respect to his authorities.
Interesting.
Cain was somebody, just a troublemaker. Cain was somebody that suffered with pride, with lack of respect. He kind of always thought he was the superior. I mean, he was the older brother in this case, right? So he probably thought he was above Abel. And so we see here that when it was time to present their gifts and worship to God, it says, Cain presented some of his crops as a gift to the Lord.
Yep.
So, and in other translations, it says he gives the fruits of the ground. So the fruits that were kind of fell from the tree and that they were on the ground, the dirty ones, the ones that were rotten, that's what he gave to God. But then Abel gives the best portions of the firstborn lambs from his flock. And so now we see how God reacts to this, accepts Abel's gift and not Cain's. Interesting from here. Interesting. Let's continue reading. Unless you have something to say.
I can get into it because, so we read that, right? And we see that plays a big, actually, let's read it first maybe, and then we'll get into it.
Because it's hard to talk about it without spoiling the whole thing.
We should read it and see, kind of get into it.
Like I already did.
Yep.
Why are you so angry? The Lord asked Cain. Why do you look so dejected? You will be accepted if you do what is right. But if you refuse to do what is right, then watch out. Sin is crouching at the door, eager to control you, but you must subdue it and be its master. What I love here is this wisdom is coming directly from God. Talk about wise counsel. You like
the wisest counsel.
The wisest counsel.
You ain't get anything better than this.
You are hearing this wisdom directly from the Lord. Like it's not like, oh, his father told him, "Hey, Cain, like don't do that, dude."
Yeah.
But God directly is telling him, "Be careful. Sin is coming to devour you, to control you, but you need to subdue it and be its master. Be sin's master." And so, also, this is very interesting because this is the beginning of time. This is like the beginning of the human race. Yeah, I've always thought about
that. So it's right in the beginning in Genesis, he says this.
Right. This is like one of the few, like the beginning wisdom that has been thrown into the world, and it's directly by God, right? And it's to Cain.
Right to Cain.
What does Cain do with this wisdom?
Let's see.
One day, Cain suggested to his brother, "Let's go out into the fields." And while they were in the field, Cain attacked his brother Abel and killed him. Afterward, the Lord asked Cain, "Where is your brother? Where is Abel?" "I don't know," Cain responded. "Am I my brother's guardian?" But the Lord said, "What have you done? Listen, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. Now you are cursed and banished from the ground, which has swallowed your brother's blood. No longer will the ground yield good crops for you, no matter how hard you work. From now on, you will be a homeless wanderer on the earth." Cain replied to the Lord, "My punishment is too great for me to bear. You have banished me from the land and from your presence. You have made me a homeless wanderer. Anyone who finds me will kill me." The Lord replied, "No, for I will give a sevenfold punishment to anyone who kills you." Then the Lord put a mark on Cain to warn anyone who might try to kill him. So Cain left the Lord's presence, crazy, and settled in the land of Nod, east of Eden.
Where the heck do we even start?
Where do we start? I mean, this is intense.
When God says, but if you refuse to do what's right, then watch out. Sin is crouching at your door, eager to control you. So he said it to him before the opportunity happens for it. That's how good God is. Like he tells him this stuff like, be careful. Sin is crouching at your door. It wants to control you. You must subdue it and be its master. What happens later? Cain kills Abel.
Right.
Like he pre of killing, like God told him this. That's just one example of God's grace, right? Just one example of God's grace. And then after, God asks him. God already knows what happened.
Right.
So what's the significance of him asking Cain, "Where's your brother?" Just another opportunity to be like honest, like what happened. And then of course it's like, he lies and he's like, "This I already know. Like I already know what happened." But like, you see God, like first thing before it even happened, he told them like, "Yo, be careful. Don't let sin control you." But of course, sin controlled them. And then after, like, where's your brother? What happened to him? And of course, like, he lies to him and stuff. But instantly, right there, I just see like that's who God is.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean that's absolutely right. I think it reminds me of when when Adam and Eve ate the fruit from the tree, he comes and he says,
where are you guys? It's like,
God, like, come on, God.
But then, like, what's the reason for it? It's like, where are you? Like, why are you hiding? Like, where are you, Adam? There's a bigger reason for it.
And so I think it's super interesting that God asks him, where is your brother? Where is Abel? But I think there's so much to learn from this story. And so we see in some of the biggest portion of this story is the part where both brothers are going to present their crops to the Lord, present their worship to God, right? And we see that Cain presents some of his crops.
Yeah.
Other translations can say the fruit on the floor, on the ground. Cain kind of didn't give thought to his worship to God. He kind of just grabbed the things extra that he had.
Yeah.
The things that he wasn't even going to use, the things that...
A lack of importance, a lack of caring.
Right? Abel, on the other hand, gives the best portion of the firstborn lambs from his flock. When you give the firstborn, those are the special ones.
Yeah.
Those are the important ones. He gives the best portions. And so we see, first of all, God noticed the heart position of both brothers, and he accepts Abel's and not Cain's. Okay. Why I relate this to my personal life in the things that I do for God. And what do we do for God? First of all, the job that you do right now, whether that be a low-income job, high-income job, it doesn't matter. The Bible talks about that we should be doing everything that we do in excellence for God, right? And so I put myself in the position of the two brothers and I say, am I like Cain sometimes, where I give the extra? Sometimes we go to church and we're tired, or sometimes it's a weekday and it's time to pray, but you've only got 10 extra minutes. You're just like, okay, I'm going to give God these 10 extra minutes. And you struggle to set a schedule apart. You struggle to kind of delay other things that don't seem as important in your life to give God an honorable gift, an honorable worship. And so sometimes I feel like, dang, if God didn't accept Cain's, I think there's times where he doesn't accept mine. Because my position, my heart position is nowhere near the right place.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, let me just give God my extra. Let me just give God the side things. But we see Abel give him the best portion. And so it makes me think about my life. And it makes me think about the work that I do. Whether that be the podcast, the job that I have, school, anything that it is. Am I giving my best? Am I giving my best effort, my best ability, but truly not lying to myself and saying, yeah, God, I give you the best? Because we cannot. That's something that we learn here in this story, is we cannot give God half and then try to convince him we gave him all.
So
God sees through all of that. God sees our heart, and so he knows when we're not giving our best offering. We're not giving our best efforts at the things that we do. And I'm not just talking about the things that we do for God, but our jobs and the respect that we show our bosses and our family members. Are we giving our best?
Yeah, and it just shows, like you said, Abel's heart. Like there's intention in the Message version. It says the same thing. It says, but Abel also brought an offering, but from the firstborn animal, he said, and choice cuts of meat. But then it says for Cain brought an offering to God from the produce of his farm. So it's like you see the difference, and you see Abel showing care, effort, importance, intention, and he intentionally chose. This is the best one. This is the best one. And like you said, you see their heart postures. Now, the question I have is why is it that Cain didn't bring the best of his produce? Why was it? Yes, we said it's like maybe he just didn't care as much. He was like a lack of importance. He was like, yeah, I'll just bring this, whatever. I'll give him some of my crops, as it says. Or I was thinking, like, is it that Cain, like, maybe he saw the fruit and maybe he made some he produced some really good fruit. Like, it was like really grown. It was perfectly grown, perfectly ripe, everything perfect. And he didn't want to give that to God. Maybe he felt like he was going to waste it. Maybe he wanted to keep it to himself. And so it's like, did he develop a wanting of the things that God gave him instead of just giving it to God who made it? Like God made the crops, but you want the crops more than him now. And so it's like a reflection of where is Cain's heart right now. Is he does not want to give the best crops because he doesn't want to waste it because they're so good.
Right.
And he forgets the one who made the crops in the first place, that gave him that job to get crops. And so it's like we tend to lose sight of God when we love the things he gives us and we forget about him. And how many times in the Bible does it say remember the Lord? Like in Deuteronomy, where it's like when God, like this is what in Deuteronomy, this is what it says. When you go into that land to receive all these blessings, to receive the fruits of trees you didn't plant, to go into these houses you didn't build, all these amazing, when you enter into that promised land, do not forget God. Because that's what we tend to do. We lose sight of God when we focus on the things that he gives us instead of remembering who gave it to us in the first place. And so it's like a reflection, a reminder to remember who gave you all the things in your life. The blessings, every good gift comes from God. How many good things are there in your life? Are you saying thank you for them?
Right.
Are you giving God the praise and giving God the thanks and saying, Lord, thank you that I had this in my life, all these good things, all these blessings. Yes, I can complain every 5 seconds, but am I being thankful for all these gifts?
So you saw their gifts as an act of gratitude towards God, or at least from Abel's side, gratitude, and Cain's would be a lack of gratitude.
Yeah, I just see what I see there again. It's just devotion, like actual importance. Like I care about God. I love God, so I want to give him my best. And we see that, how many times, like how we done things like not the best way,
right?
Because it's easier. It's so much easier. But then like when people go above and beyond, you see that. You see their hearts, and it's like you see we in this little moment we see Cain's heart and we see Abel's heart, and we see the difference of it.
Right, and I think it's beautiful because it shows Abel's side of righteousness and his love for God, right? Because you don't read this and you think, oh, Abel did this for selfish ambition, for like, if I give God my best, he's gonna quadruple, he's gonna bless me, he's gonna give me this. I don't think Abel was thinking about that. I think it was so genuine that he was just so in love with God, and genuinely, he's like, what you just said, we're receiving this from God. Why is it so hard for us to give him a portion of it? Because at the end of the day, who's the one that makes it rain, gives you the knowledge to know how to grow these crops, how to sustain them? Sometimes some years they had really bad harvest seasons, and sometimes they had really good ones. And so it's like, why do we struggle so hard to give God?
And the question is, does he want your crops? Does he want the animal?
No, he doesn't care.
He wants your heart. He doesn't want your possessions. He wants your obsessions. Right. That's what he wants. What are you obsessing over? Like he wants you to obsess over him. He wants your heart. He doesn't care about, that's what I'm saying. This animal's like, no, he just wants you, your attention, your devotion. That's what he wants.
Right. Right. I think that's so powerful. I think that's it's a great reminder, because it's like God didn't care about the lamb, and I don't even think he cared about the quality, because if Abel had a bunch of quote unquote bad quality harvests or animals, whatever, but Abel still gave the best one he had. Yeah. And the animal could have been faulty, but if it was Abel's best, it showed God Abel's heart position towards God. Man.
His authentic heart.
And so this is an important lesson. What we just talked about is it's not about what you have. It's about what you give from what you have to God. And your heart position on how you do it, right?
How are you giving it? Where's your heart there?
Are you giving God your extra? Are you giving God like just whatever you have left over? Are you able where you're giving your best side? And so it makes me think, and it makes my heart kind of just long for wanting to always give God my best. I don't want to be like Cain. I'm going to say Cable again. I don't want to be... Don't do that. Sorry. I don't want to be like Cain, where there's times where I'm like, oh God, I don't really want to give you that much, or I can't give you that much time. I got to do this. I got to do that.
Yeah, so
And
trying
we
to
let
fit God
life-
into your schedule.
Exactly. But I want to be like Abel, where I'm like, I am so in love with God, it would hurt me to give you anything less than the best. It would be disrespectful to me. It would be a lack of love and a lack of faith for me to give you anything less than the best. Because when you truly love somebody, you want to give them the world. You want to buy them everything. You want to just give them the best. You would never ever give them dirt. Give them something less than what they deserve. And so why do we treat God in a different manner? If he's our heavenly Father that loves us in an infinite scale and does what's best, and first of all gave it to us in the first place, and just wants to see a little bit for our heart position. And so now we question the heart position of Cain. You know, why was he this type of man? It makes me think about his parents, like how were Adam and Eve? You know, why such a difference between Cain and Abel? What was happening there? I mean, I don't have the answer. I'm just thinking out loud at this point because I don't really have the answers to these, right?
Yeah.
Why was Cain so different than his brother? Why was there such disparity in their love for God if they grew up in the same household? It just makes me think about it. It's like, okay, why was Cain categorized as somebody gloomy and somebody arrogant and angry and stubborn, a lack of respect to his elders? Those are just some of the questions that ran through me when I was thinking about Cain and Abel, right? But then we move on to God rejecting the offering.
Yeah.
He gives him the wisdom. First of all, let's reread the wisdom, because this is coming directly from God. So we need to take this for ourselves.
Yeah.
You will be accepted if you do what is right, but if you refuse to do what is right, then watch out. Sin is crouching at the door, eager to control you, but you must subdue it and be its master. Sin is crouching at the door. When you're at the door, you're not crouching, you're standing. You're waiting for it to open. But if you're crouching, it means you're hiding and you're waiting for the perfect moment. The second the door opens, pow, you jump and you attack, right? So sin is at the door. See, God is foreshadowing Cain's anger. He's kind of telling him, listen, this just occurred. How are you going to respond? I think this is the big twist in the story is, how are you going to respond to this? How are you going to respond to the rejection of your offering from God? Two things could have happened. Cain could have said, oh shoot.
Let me give God my best.
Let me give God my best. I messed up. You know what? Let me learn from Abel. Like, he gave God his best and God accepted it. God came and gave me grace and told me, listen, I didn't accept you because of your heart position. This was wrong. Do what is right and you will be accepted. God doesn't say, I'm going to reject you forever. He says, do what is right. He gives him another chance. So we see, how are we going to respond to this wisdom that has been given to us, right? Our lives change fully based on very important decisions that we make in our lives. And at this moment, we talk about it in an episode that was made a long time ago on anger. But anger clouds your judgment.
Yep.
I think this wisdom from God went in one ear and out the other. I think Cain was in such anger that he totally ignored this danger sign given to him. This stop sign said, hey, sin is about to just jump out at you. It is eager to control you. Right? Then we go to fast forward where in the Bible where it says the battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the evil authorities of this world, whatever. Okay. Sin is eager to control you. Later in the story, we see sin controls him.
Yep.
And sin causes him to do something unbelievably crazy.
And you read that, I think it's so good because it gives such a good perspective on temptation and sin. Because no matter what you're gonna have in your heart, when you feel like you've done something wrong,
Right.
You have in your heart of knowing what's good and what is bad and what is evil and what is good, right? So you have that in your heart. But then we have that because of the discipleship of the world and what we've been taught, what our family has taught us, what our friends tell us that we think is good. Like, oh, that's all right, that's acceptable, But is it acceptable, right? So when you go to the Bible and like that's the foundational eternal truth of what truly is good and what truly is bad for you. And so now when you read this, you get to see this like such a really, like, of course, like God is so amazing, right? There's an amazing example of what sin is like, that when you feel tempted, it's like it's trying to overpower you. Like when you are tempted, when you feel like doing that wrong thing, but in the word the eternal truth of what is good and what is bad, and saying that is bad. Now this whole analogy, this whole example right here, like you can think about that and say, wow, this sin is trying to control me, but I must subdue it and be its master. Meaning you can subdue it. Yes. Like that feeling of temptation, that feeling of you want to go do that, it does not have to overpower you. You have the control and the authority. And a lot of us don't want to walk in the authority, but we get to walk in the authority. And so you have the power to be like, no. And what it says in the word that resist the devil and he will flee from you. And that's a truth. And so like we get to use this beautifully said, analogy from God and apply it to our lives. And so when we feel like we have that moment of temptation of just like wanting to do something bad, I will not let it control me. I will subdue it and be its master.
Wow. And I think so much could have been done differently by Cain, obviously. I mean, if he would have stepped back and relaxed and understood what was making him angry, because at the end of the day, it doesn't say anything about Abel disrespecting Cain, going, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah.
God accepted my offering. He didn't accept yours. It doesn't say anything about that.
Abel was quiet.
Abel was just enjoying God's presence. Like, hey, I just gave God my best. Like, whatever.
Another example of comparison. Comparison is a thief of joy. And again, with moments like this, you can either use your comparison to get mad at God, get mad at all this stuff, complain, instead of clearly, like if Cain had the eyes to see and let his anger cool down, was able to view without pride, view the situation, he could clearly see, oh, Abel gave his best. I only gave some of my crops. I should do better. But because of his anger, because of him comparing, seeing like Abel being, however it was, like how it looks for God to accept your gift, it probably felt really nice. It was probably really good, whatever it is. He compared himself to Abel. And so because of that, like anger, probably thoughts of anger were going crazy in his head to the point that he killed him. But you see like that murder, like outside happened, it started in here, right? Like it was an outward thing that happened, but it was birthed in his mind. Wow. He started having angry thoughts, probably started imagining what he would do to Abel, getting angry at Abel instead of just like taking a step back and saying, I did this wrong.
Right.
I didn't give my full devotion to God. I gave him some whack stuff. Like I didn't even care. But if I do what's right, I will be accepted. But that first part, out the window because of his anger and because of his comparison. And just another example of like, man, like if don't compare yourself, compare to despair, but at the same time, like see that and be like, I need to change. Like if you can see somebody and they're receiving blessing, they're doing things right, view it as like, what are they doing? Oh, I should give my best too, because I should. And use that to like help you, to push you. But if you're using that to get angry and feel this way and feel that way, don't compare yourself. If you're not mature enough to.
If you're not, ooh, ouch.
And it's not even good. Don't even do it at all. But if you do it, let it be a comparison of pushing you, of encouragement.
I like everything that you said, and I also think that so many times we are so quick to shoot out our emotions and our anger that we shoot it at other people when everything had to do with us. Right? We see this whole issue has to do with Cain. This whole issue has to do with Cain not giving a offering that was right to God. But why does he turn his anger towards Abel? Let me ask you this. What if he didn't have a brother? And what if all this didn't happen with Abel? What if Cain simply just didn't give his best to God and God said the same thing? How would have Cain felt? He might have still been angry. He might have still been upset, but he had no one to compare to. He didn't have a little brother to be like, shoot, he did better than me. He got God's offering. He was favorited by God, if you must.
And I'm older and everything, yeah.
Yeah, but no. If Abel didn't exist, Cain would have been like, oh, shoot. I'm sorry, God. You're right. I'm going to give you my best. If God came down himself and told you this wisdom. But no, he was so angry. He was so frustrated at the fact that his little brother was accepted by God in his offering and that Abel did everything right. And I'm sure at this point they're a little older to work and stuff. So who knows what their household was like? Who knows if maybe, if Abel was seen as righteous, who knows if maybe Adam and Eve were favoriting him, giving him more things, more attention, more love because he was righteous and Cain was this angry, stubborn little boy. Who knows, how Abel was. What if Abel was boastful and like, hey, like I'm better than you this, I'm better than you that. Yeah. We're not really sure about the relationship between this family. But we do see this angry moment from Cain that clouds his judgment, clouds him so much to the point where you don't hear God's wisdom from his mouth, where you direct your anger and your envy towards somebody that really had nothing to do with your situation.
Crazy.
All because of comparison and envy and jealousy.
Yeah.
That you killed. Because the anger came from a rejection from God. Yet he ends up shooting his anger towards his brother, who simply provided a good act of worship towards God. So was Abel, I would like to say, was caught in a crossfire. Because what did it solve for Cain to shoot that anger towards Abel? What did it do? Because he was still seen as all these negative aspects.
Yeah.
He was still not in the right heart position.
Yeah. Wasn't bettering himself.
Wasn't growing, wasn't bettering himself. Simply he acted out of his emotions. He acted out of his emotions, right? And so I think it's just wild that Cain was...
Can you receive rejection?
Yes, I think this whole thing is about how you receive these...
How you respond.
How you respond.
How do you respond to
That's
these things?
the word.
How do you respond?
How do you respond to rejection? Or how do you respond to you doing the wrong thing and being called out by it?
Ooh.
Because we all make mistakes in life. And eventually we all get called out by it. But do we enter a defensive mode?
All of a sudden, like, I can't be wrong.
I can't be wrong. So now we see a glimpse of pride in Cain. Because he was so angry at the fact that he was wrong. You're not angry that God rejected you. You're angry that you did it wrong and that somebody did it right. And so that pride gets in the way and leads him to do something that is irreversible. You just killed your brother. That is something irreversible. You cannot take that back. The things you say when you're angry, the things you do, those things you can't take back. Once they leave your mouth, it's over. You said them. You can't be like, hold on, rewind, I'll take it back.
You can't put those words back in your mouth and make everybody unhear it. Yeah.
Exactly. And so this a big lesson here is, how are we responding?
When you mess up. When you did it wrong and you got called out for it, how do you respond to it? Do you just blow up with emotion? Can somebody even tell you that you messed up?
Oh, that's a big one.
Or would they get too scared? Can someone tell you that? If no, something to work on there.
Yeah.
And there's just so many lessons. The first just being like, where's your heart in your devotion towards the Lord?
Yep.
Are you giving your best?
In everything that you do.
Everything that you do. I can definitely work way better on this. Giving my all on all the things I do. I could do way better on that.
I've learned to ask myself that question when I'm about to do something, whether and when I say anything, I don't mean just ministry stuff. I mean like your daily job, how you're acting towards friends, how you're acting towards family, like anything. When you're reading the Bible, when you're praying, are you going to be like Cain and offer a bit, the ground, the fruits of the ground, or are you going to be like Abel and offer your best portions? And I always tell myself,
that's so good. I'll go for it.
I'm already sitting down to read the Bible. Why not give it my all? I tell myself that in everything that I do now. I go to the gym. What's the point of me getting up early, getting dressed, pouring out my water, driving all the way to the gym, and not giving my all? Did I do all that just to like do a half workout and like be about it? I'm already there. I already got here. Let me give it my all. And it's the same thing in everything that we do, whether that be prayer or reading your word or talking to God or working at your job, anything. I'm already here. Why not give my best offering to God? Because the job that you do and when you work at whatever you do, whether that be at a bank, at a valet, at a factory, a tech job, I don't care what you do. But are you giving your best? Because that is an offering to God. Today, am I going to be like Cain or am I going to be like Abel? That's what I ask myself when I do things.
And I think that's a good practice for you guys to actually take. Like, just write down the different things you do. Just ask yourself, am I being like Cain or Abel? Am I giving my best in this?
Yeah.
I can do a lot better in a lot of different ways for myself personally. Just giving my all. More of my all. Not doing things half, but doing things fully.
I love that.
We're out here together. We're doing this all together.
Yes, we are. And so we see later in the story, you know, he kills his brother.
Yeah.
God's like, where is he? I don't know. First of all, the snarky response he gives him afterwards. Am I my brother's guardian?
Come on, dude.
On top of lying to God, now you just want to throw a snarky,
now you're being
disrespectful.
smart.
Yeah, now you want to be a little smarty pants, like saying, am I my brother's guardian? Kinda, actually. Older brother. Shouldn't you be?
Word.
Oh.
Got him.
God, obviously knowing everything, says, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. Ouch. Now you are cursed and banished from the ground, which has swallowed your brother's blood. And so he bans him, and he said, this part is crazy. No longer will the ground yield good crops for you, no matter how hard you work. The crops that were originally meant to be given as an offering to God, you were meant to give God your best portion of crops. Now, no longer will your ground yield good crops for you, no matter how hard you work. That is a crazy curse. That is a hard punishment that we see here. Because now it's like, yo, even if I wanted to give God my best portions, I can't, because I did something irreversible because of my anger, because of my lack of wisdom, lack of faith, right? And if we go back, we see, I mean, we talked about Cain, but let's talk about Abel, a man of righteousness, a man of faith, because to do what he did, you have to have an immense amount of faith. A faith that's like, you know, when you tithe, when you give your 10%, that is an act of faith. Yeah. Because you're saying, I believe in a God that is abundant, in a God that provided this for me.
Yep.
I don't have a problem giving this back to him. That is a showing of faith that we see from Abel, that he gives the best portion of the firstborn lambs as his gift.
So good.
This man was an act of faith. He was a man of righteousness, a man of love towards God. And so we see Abel as an example that when it is time to offer God our worship, let me give him my all. A genuine, and you can't lie to him. There's times when I'm in church and there's worship going on and I try to like get into the worship mood, and then I'm like, sometimes maybe even we try to like fake it, I guess. Like, I'm worshiping, but like, God knows our hearts. God knows that as we have our hands up, we're thinking of something completely different. And you can't lie and tell me you've never done that. I have.
Yeah, of course.
I put my hand up and I'm worshiping, but am I really? Because I'm thinking about something completely different. So I always tell myself, I want to be like Abel. I want to give God my best worship, like my best prayer. And so Cain is left to wander on the earth. And then we see another act of mercy from God. He replies, "My punishment is too great for me to bear. You have banished me from the land and from your presence. You have made me a homeless wanderer. Anyone who finds me will kill me." The Lord says, "No, for I will give you a sevenfold punishment to anyone who kills you." So he basically just protects Cain from being killed in the outside. I mean, this also talks about, him being left a wanderer, but it makes me think about maybe he was banished from his home. I mean, as a parent, you hear your older brother killed your younger brother. What do you do? Can you come back?
You got no sons now.
This guilt coming from Cain. Is he able to go back and face his parents after he just killed their child? Because it probably would always have been a reminder of him of the sin that he had caused. So I think Cain naturally just did not want to go back home. He couldn't.
Crazy.
He would have had to live with that guilt forever. And so Cain cries out to God, and God's like, "Okay, I won't let anybody kill you." Now he's got a mark on him. I wonder where the mark was, on his forehead. A little tattoo on his
I
forehead.
thought it was in the back.
Is it on the back?
That's what I was imagining. A little big red mark on the back or something.
That's kind of tough, though. It's kind of cool.
Is it?
Is it, though? A reminder of what you did?
Yeah, heck no. Heck no.
And the last part. So Cain left the Lord's presence and settled in the land of Nod, east of Eden. All from what? One mistake. Not one mistake. One response. One poor response to a mistake you had.
Crazy.
That's what it all led to. If Cain would have responded...
Did Cain see himself leaving Eden? Like, he didn't see that.
No.
But from not responding but reacting to what happened, he left Eden.
Wow. You
don't see the consequences of it.
You don't?
When you don't respond correctly. And that's why, like, there's so many lessons here. Like, don't compare yourself. Respond when somebody calls you out and when you've done something wrong. Respond correctly. Do not react with a burst of emotion, but relax. Like, take a breather. Like, if you want to get angry, okay, but relax. Like, breathe it out. Like, take a bit and then think. You can't think when you're angry.
Right.
And then respond to it correctly. And then change. Give your best. Because that's all it is. When God calls us out, is it to make us feel bad?
Right.
No, it's to bring us for more. Like, call us to more. Now, like, I calling you out on this. Let's learn and move forward. That's all it is. But we take it and we just take, like, it hurts, and then we get angry, and like it's pointing fingers at us, and we feel like they're mad at us or whatever. That's not what God does.
Right.
He's not what God does.
I love it. So let's be more like Abel.
Yeah.
Let's give God our best worship, our best offering. But we love you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you. Check out the Patreon link. We hope you guys got some wisdom and some encouragement from this. Please let us know what stories you guys want us to study together down in the comments. But we love you, and we'll see you guys for the next episode. The next episode is a banger. You do not want to miss out. We are super, super excited for it. So we'll see you guys there. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.